freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gaiman, and this is your part 2 mega pod. More stories, more picks, the things we didn't get to on Tuesday. And joining me to break it all down, Sia Najad is here. Sia, welcome.
Can't wait. We're just hours away, fellas. Let's go.
Yeah, we're like 8 hours out. Something, I don't know. I don't know if that's right. Greg Ducharme is here. Greg, good to see you.
Don't ask me to do the math for you, but it's great to see you guys too. Kind of like a little Monday edition here. And we may have somebody, a special guest joining us in a little bit later too. So this is an exciting day. It's getting close. I love major championship weeks because it feels bigger. Everything, the conversations about the golf course a little more, the conversations about what's it going to take to really win, they just get a little more in depth. It's always a blast for me.
Yeah, we are potentially expecting Kyle Porter to make an appearance. Oh my gosh, you say his name and he appears from the top rope. I don't know if he is aware that he is muted, but he is going to click the button. And Kyle Porter.
Fresh haircut. I'm like Spieth at the remember when Spieth got that haircut at the 2018 Open, and it looked like he got his head shaved between like the second and third round. Do y'all remember?
It was really bad.
I just won the under on how fast he was. It was 2 seconds. How fast he was. So speaks to me.
That might be the
Sia, we need you on more pods. This is great. I love it.
Plus 500. I can't believe it.
It might be the lowest mark ever. All right, these are just storylines we didn't get to yesterday. Let's start with the one, the only Jordan Spieth, 20-1 over at William Hill. And KP, you hang on to your hot takes. Let's start with Let's start with Sia here, because arguably an Open Championship, I hate to say it, might be the best spot for Jordan Spieth.
Yeah, and if you remember from the Monday show, I was like, I think I like Jordan Spieth. Greg, Rick, can you just help convince me? And then you guys rattled off like 2 minutes straight of why I should be listening to Jordan Spieth backers. And I'm all in. I mean, I definitely, like I told you on Monday, I thought it was going to be Brooks Koepka. I still think Brooks is going to win this tournament. But I mean, the margins, perceived margins between him and Jordan Spieth and a couple other guys, that they're all right there. I think Jordan lines up so well this week.
Go ahead, Greg. You sat up.
Okay.
He has that Madonna mic.
He's just getting ready. I got to move.
Wants...
I can roam a little bit more with this mic, so I enjoy that.
Start walking around or what?
I could, if you want to see it. I mean, this is a YouTube exclusive, so you can see everybody can see every motion. But anyway, Kyle is definitely the president, owner, maybe the inventor of Spieth Island, if you can invent an island. But Rick and I and all of us at the First Cut are definitely board members at the very least. So we love Jordan Spieth too. And I do feel like this is a great venue for him. And you'll see that a little bit later on in the show too. But I don't think it's the best venue for him. I think the best venue for him is the Augusta National. And I think it always will be. He performs so well there. But this is probably the second best. And it's because distance isn't a huge factor. You don't need distance. And there's going to be all these situations throughout the week where for all the players, there's a little bit of chaos, right? They're going to hit good shots that end up in bad places, and unique things will happen throughout the week. But for Jordan Spieth, that happens on any course that he plays. So it's a lot more normal, and the chaos that happens isn't going to be unique to him. So I like him for that reason. I like the fact that he's had a little bit of time off coming into the event, and I love the form that he's had this year. So it's not the best in a major, but it's the second best.
So KP, you're really kind of good at putting all of this a bit into perspective. Jordan Spieth had a really tough 3 years. We know that. You were the first to declare him back. He got a victory at the Valero Texas Open, but are we still waiting for more? Are we still waiting for that major championship victory, which would be the fourth for Jordan Spieth?
Hey, Greg, tell Michael Breed hello back there.
Oh yeah, hello,
hey, Michael.
Hey, can you give us a wave? Can you give a wave?
No.
Nope.
Nope.
I love it. I love it.
So I don't even remember the question. I was just watching Greg's monitor. Here's the thing, and Greg's right about Spieth at Open Championships. Even when he played in the final pairing at Carnoustie in 18, and he wasn't playing very well at that time, and he even finished T20 at Portrush, and 2019 was not good for him either. I think the thing that is really compelling to me is he's not getting the attention that maybe he would, because he hadn't been great at majors so far this year, because he hadn't putted well, putted bad at the Masters, putted pretty bad at the PGA as well. Torrey was never going to be his deal, I don't think.
No.
But Rick, if you look at the 6 months leading into the Open in 2017, and then the 6 months leading into the Open this year, his strokes gain numbers are better this year than they were in 2017 when he went on to win. And 2017, you could build an argument. I did build an argument on CBSSports.com that was his best overall year. Now, it wasn't his most decorated year. It wasn't maybe even his most successful year, but from tee to green in 17, he was unreal. He was really, really good. And he hasn't been quite as good with his iron play so far in 2017 or in 2021. But he's been close, and he's been better, at least statistically, in every other category. So I don't know, man. I think the momentum around Spieth isn't there because he's only won once. He hadn't really been great at the majors. But I just, there's a bet on William Hill where you can take Rahm or Spieth to win at like plus 550. I struggled. I almost made that my best bet instead of Rahm top 10.
4 major championships, Sia, is what he would have if he ends up getting this done on Sunday. That starts to get you. I feel like when you get to 4, that's a big mark, but then also like every one after that is like another huge step. So he could enter that category this week.
Yeah, and it gets into a category of golfers where all of a sudden, people will start talking about a chase of records once he starts piling up 1, 2, 3, 4 more, if that ends up happening. But again, I agree. First of all, his Open experience is really solid. We know that. And the recent experience outside of, some of the poor putting performances at the majors is really good. And I love what Greg said about basically what he was saying, in my opinion, was Jordan's game is always controlled chaos. It just always is. And it's controlled because he's just accustomed and used to, pitching out of weird places and, awkwardly, whatever it is. Well, everybody else here, you can't really say that. Those people will be in those chaotic situations this week. Let's say you're Victor Hovland, you're Colin Morikawa, who have limited 0 experience, actually. They're going to be in a different state of mind. And that's why I think Jordan Spieth is such a clever play this week, because nothing's going to phase him relative to the other guys in the field.
There's another golfer we didn't get to talk about yesterday with 4 major championships. I've already given Spieth this one, if you didn't notice. So that would give him 4.
Right.
So another golfer.
There's 2 others.
Yeah, but we talked about one yesterday. The one we didn't talk about, Rory McIlroy. And Greg, I'm going to give you your very own impromptu golf prop. Here we go. I write all these. I'm making you one right now on the spot.
All right.
Rory McIlroy's score on the first hole on Thursday will be par or better, or bogey or worse.
Wow, Rick, this is why you do this, because it's so good. I thought when you first started saying that you were going to talk about round 1. His score in round 1 will be over under
just 1 hole, baby.
Okay, 1 hole. I'm going to say it will be par or better.
Ooh, see, it does not like that.
What are there numbers here on it?
No, the golf props are straight up, Kyle.
Look,
I'm not a bird here.
I'm willing to give that. I'm willing to give away minus 200 on that bet. You can. I'll take the minus 200. You get the plus 170 or whatever you want.
You want the bogey or worse side?
I want the bogey or worse side.
He made he made a 9 at Portrush or whatever it was. 8, 9,
yeah,
7.
You think he's going to do that again? I think par is the most likely score, and if par is an option,
what about at the PGA? He hits it. He almost made a 6 there.
Yeah, but there was a hazard there.
Listen.
Are there any swimming pools in the area?
Exactly.
Look, I know where you're coming from. I understand it. I'm not saying I think it's going to be a great round for him. I have my concerns. But from a probability standpoint, it's very likely. Well, I would say it's more likely that he makes par than any other score. So that's why I'm going to take that in the prop. But man, there's a lot of question marks swirling around Rory.
Let me tell you a little Rory Mcilroy story real quick, KP. Portrush was during my wife's and I our honeymoon. So we were, I know, bad timing. We were
where'd you go? Northern Ireland?
No, that we were in Puerto Vallarta. No, that would be good. Honey, I got this really great trip planned for us. Oh, there's a golf tournament going on.
We should totally go.
We were in Puerto Vallarta. I was like, listen, we're not going to watch that much golf, but you got to understand, Rory's back at Portrush. Like, this is the biggest thing ever. We have to watch. He's about to tee off. Let me pull it up. Like watch it on the phone. And he hits one like immediately OB. And she could not have been more disappointed in me that I was like hyping this whole thing up, creating this huge moment. And he immediately like made a snowman. It
was so sad. I'll never that Open, I think, is really. It was really memorable. It was a really fun Open. Portrush was awesome. Shane Lowry was an awesome winner. I loved him winning. And then the Rory interview after he missed the cut was just like when he got choked up. I can't remember who. Do you remember who was doing it? Was it Todd Lewis or
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember. It might have been Damon Hack, but he was so. I don't know. That'll always go down as like one of the most memorable Rory things for me, which I don't know if that's great, him missing the cut at in his home country, but it was such a human moment that you don't get from these guys a ton. I think two things on Rory for this tournament. One, the first round score thing, like Greg mentioned, obviously everybody knows it's a thing. I went back and looked. Check me on this. I think he's got 5 top 10s at Open Championships over the course of his career. And in 4 of those, he shot in the 60s in round 1. And that's the deal. Like, that's his deal. That it just is. And I think the one that he didn't was Carnoustie, when he kind of charged late and ended up finishing T2. But that's the thing to watch out for. And then the other thing, and Brando brought this up on Live From on Tuesday night, and I thought it was a really good point. His driving hasn't been good. And I mean, it's been fine. It hasn't been good for his standards. If you look at Data Golf has this really cool kind of feature where you can look at a rolling 50 round average, and he's outside of the top 10 in the world in driving in terms of strokes gained driving over the last 50 rounds for the first time since 2011. It's been 10 years since he's been like worse than one of the top 10 drivers of the ball in the world, which makes sense. He's probably a top 5 driver ever in terms of strokes gained. And he's had a lot of negative rounds recently, and that's dropped him out of that top 10 kind of range. So I think that's something that, this is not like Greg mentioned, it's not a course where you have to be prolific with the driver, but you can't be missing it all over the yard like he was at the Irish Open.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to miss big. The big misses seem in an Open to get punished a little bit more.
Unless you hit it by the Titleist truck.
God, I watched that the other night.
Yeah.
That it's like 25 minutes long, that shot.
It's the best like 3 hours of golf Twitter ever.
Kuchar, they cut to Kuchar a couple times, and I just am like, I feel so bad for the guy. I don't really feel bad for him, but I'm like, oh, that sucks.
There's a great tweet from No Lane Up. I'll never forget it. He said, he put in parentheses, points at Kuchar's soul and said, go get that. That's what it felt like.
That's pretty good. Rory McIlroy out at 321 local with Patrick Reed and Cam Smith. Interesting little group there. The number 1 player in the world, Sia, is someone that we spent about 0 oxygen on Tuesday. Dustin Johnson, we have said countless times, flips the switch like nobody other. He doesn't need form. He doesn't need anything. He just flips the switch. Well, 6 months later, here we are, still waiting for that flip to happen.
Yeah, it's still dark, and it's just one of those things where everybody else that surrounds him is lit up. I mean, I hate to torture the analogy here, but like, why? Like, I'm just, unless you're trying to be super contrarian, like daily fantasy, for example, I don't know why you'd go to DJ over like a Brooks Koepka, a John Rahm, even a Xander Schauffele, and down the line. So it's just one of those things. And then you look at his Open experience. I mean, it's not exactly great over the last, handful of years. He's got one top 10 in the last 5 years that he's played the Open. And then then you go to the recent form, and he's got top 25 here and there, one top 10. It's just not jumping off the page. So yeah, he can flip the switch, and more power to you if you want to play him. But if I'm playing him in like DraftKings, for example, I'm playing him strictly as a contrarian play. And I like the contrarian play, but it's not something I'm going to be leaning on.
I think one thing on what Sia said, we always talk about him flipping the switch, and he's the one guy, we've talked about this, that can happen to. But I think there's a difference between what we saw last year where he goes 80, 80, 78, and then this like extended 6 months of kind of mediocre play. Like there's a big difference between 3 really bad rounds and 6 months of mediocre rounds. And I think the flip is, I always screw up that statement. The switch is easier to flip when it's been 3 really bad rounds rather than 6 months of kind of mediocre play.
It's weird because the word flip and the word switch are kind of like the same thing.
Yeah, it's a horrific. It's like the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. It's an abomination. Like I can't say it.
You could flip the switch or switch the flip. I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's funny because Jon Rahm was the number 1 player in the world, Greg. So I went back to look. I was like, how did Jon Rahm played and finished whatever 6th in Scotland? How did he drop off? His T9 from the 2019 Masters dropped off, which drops him out of that. So Dustin Johnson back to being the number 1 player in the world now with 2 major championships, and he was in classic DJ form this week. All the press conferences are there. Swing looks good. There's never any like emergency concerns, right? You're never like, oh my God, he looks horrible. His mindset is different, but you're never also, well, I guess you are. When he was on that stretch at the end of last year, you're like, oh my God, he's unbeatable. He just lives in this very middle world.
Right. And if you took this, like Kyle mentioned the mediocre play, and it's what are his last 2 finishes? Like a tied 13th and a tied 18th or something like that.
But for him, I mean, he hasn't contended.
No, you're absolutely right. You haven't thought that DJ could win. Maybe at Congaree, you thought he could going into the final day, and he came in tied 10th or something. Right. Probably should have won there. But that was a field that was nowhere near the caliber of this field. So I agree with you that it's mediocre play, but if you tack a win on the end of it, all of a sudden that looks a lot different. It looks like if DJ wins this week, the last 2 events that he played will look like he was building towards something. It won't look like a flip was switched. Or however you want to say
Switch
that.
was flipped.
That's as good as what I said.
Anyway, so I kind of, part of me has that in my mind where maybe there is something here, even though it doesn't feel like it, because DJ, because of that attitude that he has, because of the consistency that he has in his demeanor, because of the way he handles the media is so steady and so consistent, you don't really know how to get a read on him. You don't really know if he's building towards something or if it's really just mediocre. So we're not going to know for a while. I feel like I haven't gotten anything out of Dustin Johnson. I feel like I have little to no read on where he is with his game. Does he have the talent and ability to win this week? Yes. Do I have the confidence he's going to do it? No. I mean, I don't know if he's healthy. I don't know if he's injured. I don't know if he's in great form. I don't know if he's settled in on a putter. I don't know any of this. And part of this too is the questions he gets asked are a little bit different than everybody else. Like he's just asked way more silly questions to try to get that obvious answer, which is so entertaining. But the questions don't dig in as deep with DJ as they do with some of the other guys, in my opinion.
I don't disagree with you. I think I would feel more confident about him if this was like a Bethpage or like if we were going to a PGA Championship. I don't love him at Opens, and maybe that's, I'm kind of with Sia. Like his Open record, his best finish is T2, which was here. But other than that, he had that weird St. Andrews where he got off to a hot start and then I don't know. I'm just not in love with him at Open Championships.
Yeah, the more bad breaks that can happen, it hurts the more talented players a little bit more, in my opinion. It takes DJ's skill set and limits it. It evens the playing field with DJ and somebody else, where Bethpage does the exact opposite. It separates his skill set from the other players.
I saw that Royal St. George's this time around is 22 yards shorter than it was in 2011, which feels like a fun little nugget. Feels like that probably doesn't happen very often. So
no,
here we are.
Doesn't mean anything though,
obviously, but I like it. It's a nugget. One of the best nugget resumes, Sia, Louis Oosthuizen. It's so remarkable. I mean, just to recap where we're at here: 14 professional wins, 1 PGA Tour victory. That was the Open Championship in 2010, which he won by 7 shots over Lee Westwood. To Kyle Porter's tweet earlier, he should have saved some of those because he really could have used some of those major championship strokes instead of burning a 7-shot victory, and has never won on American soil and has piled up 6 runner-up finishes. And now he's playing great again. It's just like he's constantly in contention. It would be one of my favorite stories if he not only won this week, but then he would have 2 Open Championships, no other PGA Tour victories, no wins in America. Like I would love that resume build.
And I think he's another one of those guys that sort of has, not that his game is chaotic at all, it's very smooth, but I think he's just going to cruise kind of easily through this course. First of all, let's talk about how impressive it is. A US Open and a PGA Championship where you're runner-up in both. You could go the other side of that and be like, well, the guy can't close. But you do realize there's like 120 other golfers in those tournaments. It's just one of those things. It's so impressive that a guy of his caliber, and let's be honest, he's never thought of as like an elite golfer. So, and his Open experience is good. Like the guy's kind of amazing. I know it's almost too good to be true, in my opinion. There's a couple of, again, I revert back to DraftKings because I'm always looking at that. There's some guys that it's just like too good to be true, their pricing or even their outright number, like Daniel Berger, for example, or Patrick Cantlay or Louis Oosthuizen. It's just these guys are sort of, Brooks Koepka's another guy that's automatic at majors. And I don't know how you don't see that. I don't know how to unsee that. He just seems so fit for this Open and all majors.
Would you guys rather have Oosthuizen's career or Ricky Fowler's career?
So Ricky's probably got what, 5 or 6 wins on players.
I think he's got 7 worldwide. He won the Scottish. He won the Players. He won the Deutsche Bank. He won Honda.
Let's be clear. Do we turn into this person or do we just get their career? Okay.
You get their resume. You get their Wikipedia page.
Oh, well, I mean, you'd rather have Louis because there's a major. But the other thing is, and I don't know if this is counted on the Wikipedia page, but Louis is, I'll
tell you, I have it up right now. I'll tell you if it's on.
All right. So see if you can find this. Louis is perceived as an overachiever, big time. What Louis has done to me is better. Ricky is, I can't believe he hasn't won more. This guy's unbelievable. He's finished second in, like, Kyle's tweet today is amazing. If you said Ricky Fowler back in 2012 was going to win 7 majors, people would say, I mean, maybe that's a little strong, but it was a possibility. If you said Louis was going to win 7 majors, that would be absolutely shocked. You'd say, who? No way. The fact that Louis won 1 is like this, a kind of amazing thing. So I look at Louis, and I think the general population perceives him as a little bit of an overachiever, and they're surprised he's accomplished all that he has, even though he's only won once. Where Ricky is perceived to be a really big underachiever, and they can't believe that he hasn't won a major and become one of the best players in the world.
But isn't that mostly marketing? Like, I think what you're saying is correct, but I think inside golf circles, it doesn't hold up as much. Like, I don't think that people who are like deep in this stuff would say that Ricky is necessarily underachieved and Oosthuizen has they might even say the other way around, that Ricky is underachieved and that Ricky has overachieved and that Louis has Louis got the best swing in golf, right? It's almost like and I get it. He's not the same as Adam Scott, but it's a little Adam Scottish of like, why didn't you win more? So I don't know. I think what you're saying is correct from a general fan standpoint, but I don't know if it holds up like deep inside golf.
But just think about where Ricky Fowler was. I mean, he came out of Oklahoma State, Kyle. What was the perception of Ricky Fowler when he was coming out of Oklahoma State? Was it his first or second year? He was a rookie getting a captain selection onto a Ryder Cup team, right? I mean, that's not happening. Louis Oosthuizen wasn't getting the captain's pick on the President's Cup team as a rookie, right? There is a little bit of a difference there, even though it's a beautiful swing. It's something that deep inside golf we know doesn't always hold up. The most beautiful swings don't necessarily lead to the most beautiful results. So I don't know. I feel like deep inside golf there still is some of that where Ricky Fowler is perceived as a disappointment. Maybe that's fair, maybe it's not. I think there's probably cases where both are true, but that's kind of where I get that thought from.
Real quick, because we have a bonus betting card. Greg, Sharm's betting card. We're not there yet, Greg. But can
Sia and I just roast it? So we don't have to show ours.
That's a great idea.
For sure. Yeah. But before
I'm under the spotlight.
Before we do that, we'll do this quick here, Sia, because I've got the weather up, and don't tweet me. It changes all the time, and I'm not a weather person. Do not tweet me. But as of right now,
dude, weather Twitter is
it's next level. It is next level. Do not tweet me.
Gymnastics Twitter and weather Twitter are out of control. Olympics Twitter is insane.
Yeah, we think golf Twitter's bad. Some of these are really tough. Seemingly, Sia, because the weather is always a big storyline, the course is always a big storyline. Seemingly, like we're in store for a pretty good one. Looks dry for 4 days, and looks like we're gonna get sustained winds, 15 to 18, and gusts from 25 to 35. Baby, let's go.
Yeah, it looks, but then, 2 hours later, I'm hearing, a pocket of, 1 p.m. their time to 4 p.m., you got a lull, for example. So as far as the wind is concerned, unless there's something concrete that materializes in the next 3 hours, I think this is where you're going with it, Rick. I think we kind of have to ignore it, especially with the changing patterns. I mean, you could be kind of dug in on one of the quote splits and 4 hours later after lock, for example, it just switches. So I don't know what to do with the wind unless I hear something extremely concrete.
Kyle hated that take so much that he literally dropped out of here. Okay, well, that's our cue. Greg, why don't we pull up your betting card? There he is.
Back to roast my betting card.
All right. I don't know if we can pull this up for you because StreamYard is struggling today. So here we go. I'm going to read these off to you. Let's start with your 3 balls.
Here we go. Come on. There we go.
Yes.
3 balls. Sergio Garcia over Terrell Hatton and Webb Simpson. You're getting that at plus 210. Similarly, at plus 210, Brennan Grace, love this, over Shane Lowry and Cam Smith. And then you have a little South African on South African crime here. Christian Bezuidenhout over Garrick Higo. And then you throw in Joaquin Niemann into that mix.
Yeah. So there's very, very clearly some risk involved in these. So when I looked, starting with Sergio Garcia, I think Sergio is going to have a great week. I love his open resume. I love his recent form, and I love his driving ability. Hatton is the kind of sneaky one to me here, where I'm not sure what I'm going to get, but something tells me that the frustration may overcome Hatton here. And I just have a feeling that Garcia is going to beat Hatton. I'm it's not that I'm against Hatton here. I do think Webb's going to have a tough week. So I'm kind of throwing Webb in here, boost the odds a little bit. But I like Garcia to beat both of those players. Then you go up to Brennan Grace, who I've been watching for a long time this year, thinking about this tournament because he won the Puerto Rico Open. He's rounding back into form, and he has one of the lower apexes off the tee of anybody on tour. He hits these darts off the tee. He played really well at the Memorial, and I believe at the U.S. Open as well. And I expect it to continue. So I look at Brennan Grace in a year where he's feeling grateful to be back into form, back in the winner's circle again. And I think I think he's going to round out this year with a really nice major championship. I have questions about Cam Smith's form, although this does seem like a good tournament for him. With the creativity that's involved, seems like it fit Cam Smith, but I have questions about his form right now. And Shane Lowry, I like going against the defending champ because it's very rare that you get, back-to-back champions or close to. So that leaves me with Bezuidenhout over Neiman and Higo. Joaquin Neiman is just, he could go out and win it. And I feel like he could also finish T36. Christian, I think, is going to have a really, really nice tournament. And Higo's been struggling with his form since winning. So I'm not expecting a great tournament out of Garrick Higo. And again, now I've narrowed this down to 2. And I think Christian is going to kind of sneak past Joaquin Neiman and get a victory there.
There's a lot of stuff in here because number one, KP, if Grace were to win, he would add to the he would win after winning the Puerto Rico Open, but it still wouldn't be in the States. So that could continue to go.
Yeah. You're obsessed with the caveats of this curse. It's incredible.
The curse caveats.
The curse.
The curse caveats.
I don't hate any of these. I don't love Webb this week. And Sergio's been there's a couple of things going on with him. He's been great at opens like over the last 10 years. Yeah. He's been terrible at majors over the last 3 years, basically since he won the Masters. He did play better, I think, at the US Open. So I'm fine with that. I don't like Higo, so I like that. Bezuidenhout won. Yeah, these are good. I do like Lowry this week. That's where I would kind of push back. I think Lowry's going to have a really good week.
Sergio is the one for me, Sia, that I haven't really known what to do all week. I've thrown my hands up in a lot of spots and don't know where it landed.
Yeah, so I like Sergio this week. And if you remember from Monday's DFS show, remember I asked Greg, specifically, hey, with these slower greens, is it potentially going to help guys like Sergio or like just bad putters like Keegan Bradley, for example? I'm bringing him up again. But the point is, and I think Greg agreed that Sergio, just from a read standpoint and just from a speed standpoint, that he might actually get an assist here with the slower greens. And if that's the case, I think this is kind of a perfect time to take Sergio, especially when you look at his open record in the past few years isn't great, but he obviously has a great track record. And by the way, he was top 20 at the US Open as well. So the recent form at majors isn't as terrible as it was immediately prior to that.
I thought real quick, I thought Bryson was good on this on Tuesday when he was talking about, he was like, if I don't 3-putt, I'll be there on Sunday, which I don't really agree with, but I thought it was a good point because I think that we underrate the importance of lag putting. Probably at majors in general, and maybe specifically at this one. When I think about even somebody like I don't know who the best lag putters are. I don't have. Well, yes, of course, sure. But like in this event this week. But I think about guys that like I think about Rory, some of his lag putting, and it's just like he's always got these stupid 5-footers that it seems like he has to bang home, and you can only do that for so long. It felt like that caught up to him a little bit at the end of the US Open at Torrey. And so that's one sort of deep dive that I'm going to be interested in, especially early on this week.
There's not a lag putting stat, is there? I guess there's 3-putt avoidance, which
close,
I guess
there's
proximity. Putt.
Yeah.
Approach putt, which Rory really struggles with. And that's how close you get. I don't know the exact details of it. Right. Approach putt performance, I think it's called.
Guess who the number one player in this field is? You're never going to guess. No. Brennan Grace, actually.
Oh,
there you go.
Yep. Knew that.
Let's see. I'm just going off who I think is in this field. Yeah.
Good job, Greg.
Stuart Singh, Alex Noren, Sam Burns, Cam Smith, HV3. I'm skipping guys, but they're not in the field. Yeah, those are your guys. The rest of your card, Greg: Paul Casey, top Englishman; Jon Rahm to win; Jordan Spieth to win; and Lee Westwood, who, if you guys remember correctly, in our way too early major preview, Greg picked Lee Westwood to win the Open Championship. He was about 150 to 1 at the time. Now 40. Still probably not going to happen, but Greg, you got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, probably not, but he's on the card because of that. So I want to make sure that I you know, when you say something so long ago, you got to make sure you cash out if it happens. So I couldn't leave him off. Just like I can't leave John Rahm off. I can't leave, even though it's 7-1 and it may not be a great no. Like anytime you have a chance to make 7 times on your dollar, I feel like you got to kind of put a chance on it. So I had to have that one in there. I had to have Westwood in there. Now Casey Top Englishman is a hedge on Lee Westwood, because right. So there's clearly a conflict of interest in those 2 picks, but I do think Paul Casey can have a really good week. And if something crazy happens and Lee Westwood doesn't win, I think I might win the Paul Casey Top Englishman. Yeah, it's hard to foresee that happening, but just in case.
You're in trouble if Terrell Hatton plays well this week.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, yeah. I'm kind of thinking I'm thinking he's going to finish T27 for Hatton. So I think I'm going to sneak by all these. I think Garcia will beat that. I think Casey will beat that. Westwood, I'm virtually certain will beat that. So on to the next one, Jordan Spieth, we talked about earlier in the show. Yeah. I feel really strongly about him, and I just wanted to get an outright on Jordan Spieth. I wasn't crazy about these matchups, and I figured the best way for me to get Spieth action was just simply a very simple outright, and he'll be in a bunch of my lineups on the he'll be in a bunch of my lineups on DFS as well.
All right, I love it. That's Greg's betting card. I've got a couple of minutes left here, gentlemen, and then I got to go do HQ real quick. The worst approach putter on tour is John Huh. The second worst putter on tour, Brooks Koepka. Oh no!
Really?
Oh Lord!
His average approach is 2 feet 9 inches.
I'm gonna play him in one and done this week.
He's hurt by all these statistics because they usually don't count majors and they do count everything else.
Yeah. It's actually that's exactly true.
Phenomenal point.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do, gentlemen. The last couple minutes here, we're gonna play a game that is going to be clippable for later, and it's absolutely gonna burn us. And it's very, very simple. We choose the one golfer that absolutely cannot win this golf tournament, and it always backfires. And you can't pick Yuxin Lin. You gotta pick somebody. Sia, please be the sacrificial lamb and go first.
This one's easy and famous last words. I'm really going to get called out
this,
now.
Jacob. Clip it now.
Bryson DeChambeau is not winning this tournament. Sorry for taking everybody's answer, by the way. You're going to have to find something.
Well, last time we all gave this answer, he did win the tournament.
five or six shots
at Winged Foot.
Oh,
I don't think I played that game.
I'll go with DJ. I'll go number 1 player in the world.
Wow.
DJ will not win the Open Championship.
All right, those are definitely 2 that were very high on my list. I'll take and I hate to do this, friend of the pod, Colin Morikawa. I think that listen.
Ouch.
It's just like 20% of the time he's gonna have a good putting week and he's gonna win a lot of events. I'm worried about the putter. I'm worried about the lack of experience. He's already talking about how hard the turf is.
I didn't love that quote where he like can't get his irons through the turf. What is that?
I've never had that problem. I usually take too much turf, actually. I don't know. It was strange.
It was not great. I don't know. We'll see. He should. I mean, he's got the game for it. He's creative, great iron player, stays in the fairways.
He's got the game for a lot of places. Greg,
his clubs are getting stuck in the ground.
It's unreal.
Who will not win the 2021 Open Championship?
I love everybody's answer so far. I am going to go with, to be different, and I'm also holding thumbs here, Tyrrell Hatton.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be good for you too. Oh man, it always seems so easy. Like just pick one guy who's not going to win.
I'm not giving a reason.
No problem.
What if Phil wins?
He could.
It would be.
Could he?
Yeah.
I mean, it's better. It's better for him than Torrey, right? Although I guess Torrey's got a lot of.
This is the Open Championship is the best opportunity for the older players to win.
Yeah, I think that's right.
It just is. I mean, it does lightning strike twice in the same year. I don't know. Like, probably not. But
I think it's insane.
He could.
Like, we will not properly understand him winning the PGA for like 10 years.
Right.
Yeah. And
I
he might win the Open.
I don't understand how he won the PGA Championship at Kiowa.
The guy who wins multiple majors and changes the trajectory of his legacy that we talked about 15 months ago is gonna end up being Phil
At 51. Yeah. That's hilarious.
I mean, he can tie what? Does Palmer have 7?
Oh man, he would get. I mean, he would when you start getting into those echelons, it's crazy.
You're referring to Ryan Palmer, of course, right?
Yeah, Arnold's grandson.
Just if you combine both the Palmers, I think they have 7. All right, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure. I got to run. 2021 Open Championship starts in like 8 hours or so.
Yeah. 8 hours.
Enjoy it. For now, let me thank producer Jacob. He does all the hard work behind the scenes. That right there is Sia Najad. Find him on Twitter at Sia Najad. The real GFD. That's Greg Ducharme. Kyle Porter at Kyle Porter CBS. And you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut, and we'll catch you next time.